really, in the last few years, the decision that we made was to go away from a transactional relationship with clients where we are just, once a year, here's your accounts, let's get it done. We file the tax return, it's done, see you next year. I've never liked that model. And get into the more relationship stuff. How can we help you improve? How can we make your business better for you, Mr. Client, so that it supports your personal goals and helps, support you and your family in a way that suits you better?
Most accountants are there just to keep score. This man changes the game. Today, I am joined by Andy Muckett, founder of AKM Accounting Solutions. They have transformed traditional accounting into strategic business growth. Now, we're going to dive deep into how you can scale your business without sacrificing your freedom, without working 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Now, if you ignore the advice that we give you today, you're going to keep spinning plates. You're going to be trapped by compliance and you're going to miss the real opportunities to grow the business. I'm really excited about this podcast today. Andy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chris. Absolute pleasure to be here.
So I always invite guests onto this show, Andy, who I think I can learn from, and I generally go searching for them on, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and I come across your post, and I thought I really like this guy, and I like the way that you explain the information that you give. So to start off, though, Andy, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what happened, how did you get into this position, and what you're doing now?
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, great question. Thanks for asking. So, very, very long story, as short as we can get it. So I kind of fell into the accounting world, having been working for HMRC for the first kind of 5 years of my working life, and didn't want to end up getting institutionalized there. And I think that was definitely the right decision to get out of HMRC when I did all those years ago. Went into the accounting profession, and I would watch how the partners in the business weren't really serving their clients in a way that I thought was right. So way back when I was 24 years old, I started AKM, effectively, very much with a tax bias. And what I've seen over the last kind of 30 years is that it's not so important what you do necessarily, but it's how you communicate and how you support clients in their growth. And I've been through a number of recessions in those kind of 28, 30 years. And the thing that I see time and time again is it's the supportive relationships that you have with clients are the ones where the clients get the best results every time. So so really, in the last few years, the decision that we made was to go away from a transactional relationship with clients where we are just, once a year, here's your accounts, let's get it done. We file the tax return, it's done, see you next year. I've never liked that model. And get into the more relationship stuff. How can we help you improve? How can we make your business better for you, Mr. Client, so that it supports your personal goals and helps, support you and your family in a way that suits you better?
I like the idea of and let's not beat around the bush. When you change that, if that's the relationship that you look for with a client, and you're offering more,
Yeah.
you can charge more as well, can't you? It's like it's a premium service. It's like I think so many people are really scared to actually go, you know what I do is a little bit or sometimes a lot better than most people out there. I want to give them a ton of value. I really, really want to focus in and give them everything that I've got, because that's going to naturally reduce the amount of clients. But the clients you're left with are good clients that that value what you're doing, aren't they? Because they're
Yeah.
spending money that's, I mean, we say this, they're seeing you as an investment. They've got to then, haven't they? Because hopefully you're at that price point to go, right, I need to take this seriously, rather than £200 a month that's going out to file, statutory accounts.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's getting away from that clients view me as a cost to clients view me as an investment that they can't do without. And it, people buy outcomes, right? They don't buy, and if they're buying a completed tax return, that's got very little value to someone. Oh, you've completed my tax return. Fantastic. Thanks very much. Um, no one gets excited about that, apart from, as I used to in my younger days, be very excited about doing tax returns all day long. But that doesn't help the client, and the client doesn't thank you for it. Oh my goodness. The client never comes and says, oh, of all the tax returns I've had prepared for me over the last 10 years, this one has changed my life. Nobody ever says that. And so getting into that transformational work where you can help clients transform, where you can focus on what their outcomes are. I have more conversations with clients around, how many holidays do you want this year? How much more time do you want to spend with your kids? When do you want to stop working? But it's so much of it is around the family for me. I was lucky enough. I was lucky enough. I was lucky enough to get divorced, Chris, when my children were quite small. And if I hadn't had my own business at the time, I wouldn't have had the flexibility to allow myself to spend more time with my children than perhaps most divorced dads have the opportunity to. So most divorced dads are maybe working, 37.5 hour, 40-hour week, and they don't get that flexibility. So I was able to adapt my lifestyle to suit my goals, which was to spend more time with my children. And yeah, but that was the outcome that I wanted. So I spent less time at work and more time with my family.
Did it scare you though, making that transition? To like, I mean, some accountants are volume practices. Their aim is to get, you know, on the monthly retainer. It's a fairly solid business model,
Yeah,
sellable. Obviously, there's a lot of. Did it frighten you to go, actually, no, I'm not after that anymore. I want less high value to give me this freedom.
100%. And it's a really, really scary thing. You build up, as you say, this kind of the people come to you because I don't know, maybe they're buying on price. They're probably not buying on service, because if you're in that sort of fear, that kind of scarcity mode, um, you tend to attract people who are in the same energy, right? So they are fearful of spending money, or they are fearful of higher prices. So yeah, it is scary to say, actually, I don't want those clients anymore. They're not right for me. Yes, can we do the work? Of course we can do the work. Can we do it to a high standard? Absolutely. But we don't want to do that anymore.
It's
But yeah,
funny. We had
given
a
away, yeah, sorry, go on.
we had an inquiry yesterday, and it has all the hallmarkings of what we would class. It could be quite a good job. So there's quite a lot of debt. There was pending legal action. It,
Mm,
it's a mess. This guy really needs some assistance. So what we'll do is we'll call someone up, and obviously, like you get, we want to know what's going on. Like we want to, before we start going in there, going do this, do that, the other. Like we need to understand exactly what's gone on, what's the outcome that they're looking for, and is there any way we can get from A to B legally? And some people don't answer the phone, but he texts one of the Emily back, and he said, I'm not willing to have a conversation. Just text me over. And we just don't do that. We've got like hundreds of videos on YouTube. Anyway, last night I said, listen, I'll try. It's only down the road. And I said, message him. I said, do you want to meet up for a coffee? Blah blah blah. and he just sent a really rude text message back, like swore in it. And I just thought the old me would have bitten, and just it's got the hallmarkings of a well-paid job. And I just thought, you know what? You are not our client. Like literally, they're just going to be a absolute headache. And we're laughing about it this morning. It's we have a no knobheads rule. And sadly, I think this guy, from what I can gather, he comes across as he might not be a knobhead. He's doing a very good impression of one at this stage. But I remember years ago, I wouldn't care. I'd be like, I was just so desperate to get the work, like, and as you get a little bit more mature in business, you realize that some people have real headaches, and can't you? You can spot them warning signs within the first 20 minutes.
You can absolutely. I mean, there was an inquiry that came in to us this week, and on the face of it, it looked perfect. It looked perfect. Couple of messages in, and it started to become apparent that actually this person was incredibly high maintenance and wanted this level of service, wanted this level of pricing, this level of investment. And it was like, I get what you want. I understand that you want this higher level of support, but actually you've got to understand that that person didn't quite understand that it's a premium. If you expect it, and I think I'm seeing this quite a lot. People saying, actually, I want more from my account. I'm like, thank the Lord, people are finally starting to see that actually if they engage with their accountant and finance professional, then properly and leverage their knowledge and expertise, then it will pay massive dividends. But we're still stuck in this situation where people go, the bloke down the pub says, "Well, you're paying your client, your accountant £2 a year, or he's he's flipping
Yeah.
ripping you off, mate. He's ripping you off. Mine does it for 300 quid." It's like,
He's
and when you,
probably the insolvency advisor because there's so many of them in the pubs as well. I mean, and
oh
they seem like to be some of the things they've got away with over the years. They make your toes curl. But
yeah,
you know what they say,
yeah,
good stuff isn't cheap, and cheap stuff's not good, is it? It's
yeah. There's a thing that I see. There are three. You can have three levels of service. You can have no. There are three levels of service: fast, good, or cheap. I think that's the way it goes, isn't it? You can only have two of them. If you want it good and fast, it's not going to be cheap.
one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. And again, like
Mm.
I get people on here that I want to learn from. And you talk about sort of scaling without working longer hours. Now, I'm going to tell you where I'm at. Last night, I did not stop working till 10 o'clock at night. We're going for a really exciting part of our business. We're growing. We've just got that many inquiries coming in. We don't know what to do with them. To a degree, we're building a team. We've had two new starters this week. I was up this morning out the door at 7 o'clock. And when I started this, it was something I said, you know what? I wasn't bothered about that. I was just happy sort of, earning a reasonable income and making sure that I was leaving, having a brew and a breakfast with the kids and getting home at sort of 4:30. This last sort of 3 months, things have changed a little bit. And for the first time, I thought, you know what? Maybe this is the time that we should put our foot in the gas a little bit. And there is an opportunity. We've built an amazing reputation over the years. So I'm on this call. I'm a bit battered. I'm tired. And it's been like that for some time. I had a little bit of a holiday. So yeah, I'm your client because I'm struggling at the moment. We've got so much going on and I'm burning myself out. Like I know, and I've got a week of this. So it's going to get to bank holiday weekend and I'm going to be recovering from a really heavy week. Where do we start, mate?
So the starting point is always going to be for you, Chris. What is it that you want your life to look like? That's the start. And that's where we work back from. So you already said in the few minutes that you had been speaking, you said, I want to spend more time. I want to make sure I can have breakfast with the kids. Okay, tick. That's a goal, right? You want to be able to do that every day. Great. So we need to build that in. So what's stopping you from having breakfast with the children?
Well, I had done this pretty much forever. It seems to be these last few months, and where I'm coming back to in my head, Andy, is right. Well, there are just times where you've just got to go that extra mile and sort of knuckle down and like work those longer hours. It's not forever. So that's where I'm at. I don't believe this is forever, but right here, right now, it feels like it's just necessary. Stuff needs to be done.
Yeah, so it's getting through that idea that, well, the danger is that you say it's just for now, it's just for now, it's just for now, and then you look back in 4 years' time and go, oh, it's still going on, it's still going on, it's still going on, and now I can't deal with anything because I am completely burnt out. So it's great that you've got that awareness that actually I need to do something. But actually, when you're writing it in the moment, quite often you can't see the wood for the trees. You can't see, it's only just for now. It's just for now. But actually, there is that, you've got to find that time to step back and have a look at what's going on and have the plan to get out and say, well, okay, this is just for now. It won't be this way in 3 months' time. And you have to ask yourself the question, but what if it is this way in 3 months' time? What can I do differently now? It's planning out those different scenarios and asking, what if this happens? What will we do then? What if, what if, what if? So it's all about possibilities for me. What if we made this change? What would that do now? Rather than saying, I'll think about it later, I'll think about it later, I'll think about it later.
Well, that's what I wanted to sort of come on to was sort of like, would you be able to share some sort of strategies, shifts in mindset that are going to enable this type of transformation? Where do I need to be? What do I need to be thinking about?
And again, I think from what you've said, I think you need to be thinking about how you want the business to grow. So we get quite caught up in, I think, as humans, we want to serve people. We want to serve as many people as as we can, because that's important to us. It's like a community thing. You want to be liked, and you want to be known, and those kind of things. And where you start to overdo that, one can get into that kind of people pleasing mode, and you feel obligated to help everybody that turns up on your doorstep. And really, I think it's about boundaries, is the first thing. It's about setting boundaries, it's about setting standards. We've touched on it already. This is not the client that's right for me. So rather than saying this is what it's one place to start. This is what I don't want. I don't want this client. Okay, you don't want that client. Which client do you want? Who is your, people talk about ICAs. But actually, it's a lot about personality. It's a lot about people. So who do you want to help? I'm sure you must see a lot of people in your business who have got themselves into a little bit of trouble because they haven't really done what they were supposed to be doing. So not that they've made a genuine mistake or they've had an unfortunate incident where a customer has let them down significantly, but actually where they've perhaps been up to um, less than uh, less than perfect practices. I suppose that's probably the nicest way of saying it. And
I think that
you
happens.
strike me that you don't want to work with people like that, for instance. So,
What we want, yeah. So, really good question. So, like our ideal client is somebody who is aware that there is a problem. They're acting early, and they're open to suggestions. And that's it. Is somebody who's got, and obviously that they want we want somebody who wants to be willing to work towards a resolution. And I think what we've changed recently is like those people who've done, for instance, people who took a bounce back loan that shouldn't do, we can't help them. We literally cannot help them. Like the best advice to them is pay the bloody loan back. And we've sort of changed and we've given them some content to help them understand what to do. But uh, for us, the vast majority of our clients are really good, honest people. They've just found themselves in this position, and a lot of it is through no fault of their own. I mean, don't get me wrong. You do that post mortem, and you're like, you know what? And one of the things that we do for really brave directors is we interview them afterwards. It's not for everyone, and we say, what do you wish you'd have done differently? And what learnings are you going to take into a new company, which we'll come on to? Because do you know what I love about your approach is most people that I interview in your role are about um, growth, smashing it out the park, growing. And so I don't mean to it. I know that that's your message is growing, but it's growing sustainably without sacrificing the rest of your. Because I sort of, well, I felt like I'd got that bit cracked. I had quite a lot of balance in my life. And again, it just seems to this last few months, it's just gone the other way again. And I can feel it, you know what I mean? It's like, and I know I'm at my best when I've had a good night's sleep. I've done stuff in the morning to get myself up and right, and then I'm shutting down at about 5 o'clock because I can't work for consistent periods of time at a high level, and all I'm dealing with is problems day in day out. So, so another thing I struggle with is perhaps switching off at 5 o'clock, like going from 5 o'clock Chris problem solver to 5:10 Chris the dad. That's difficult. I've got really little kids. I've got a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, and one on the way, mate. So you must have come across. I mean, you're nodding. You must have come. I mean, have you? Do you identify with what I'm saying?
yeah, absolutely, and it's really difficult. So one of the but my son, well, truth be told, I am too, but my son's on the autistic spectrum. He went to a specialist school, and they always talked about transitioning uh, in terms of going from this space to this space, and how difficult it was for the autistic kids to do that in particular. So transitioning for my son, transitioning from his mother's house to my house, from my house to his mother's house, that could be a challenge for him. And transitioning just from being at home to being at school, uh, very difficult. So I hear what you're saying, and I think a lot of us don't see that, and especially if we're working from home, as many of us do, it's to become that different person in that space without to go from switched on tax planning, business planning, Andy, to go to let's sit down and have a lovely lunch with my wife. I need time, I need space. So again, it comes back to boundaries. So my diary right now, it has blocks of time where I do specific tasks, but it also has blocks of time where I don't, where I do nothing. Nothing is scheduled because that enables that brain to just go from this level where it's firing away like all Billy-O to come back down again. I probably don't do enough meditation. I definitely don't do enough meditation. But you only need 5 minutes of sitting quietly or walking around the garden with your shoes and socks off. To,
Mate, I'm a big believer in that. I like
yeah.
last night. My missus said to me, "Kids are in bed. I'm on the laptop at 8:30," and she went past and went, "Chris, no wonder you can't switch off because you're still bloody working." And at that point, I turned my phone off. I got an infrared sauna. I've always mornings. I'm really good with meditation. I'm up. I do my thing. I get outside barefoot. I do all the Wim Hof. I get in a sauna. I do a little bit of exercise. So I'm mega in the morning,
Mm.
and that's where it can. And then for the rest of the day, it's like. And last night it was just. I mean, there's no such thing as a coincidence, isn't it? We've got. I didn't even think this conversation was going like this, but last night was one of those nights. Like at the end of the night, I'm just like, I've got too much going on. Like too much is going on in this head, and I do keep lists, and I do keep. I'm quite an organised person, but on a bad day, my head is like there's like strobe lights going off, and it's when we're incredibly busy at work with all these different complexities of different jobs. What should I be doing?
Taking more time for you, for sure. I just want to come back to that. One of the ways when I would get into that space where I'd be like, I'm so busy, I'm so busy, I'm so busy, I'm so busy, I'd go, how can I make myself more productive? I know, I'll have a cup of coffee. That will help. And I'd load up on caffeine. And that's a killer. That's an absolute killer. I got to a stage in my life, I got into a horrible cycle 10 or more years ago of caffeine in the morning to get me up. But because I couldn't sleep at night, wine in the evening so that I could try and get to sleep. And it was a horrific cycle that I got myself into. And thankfully, I'm not in that anymore. Not in that anymore. But caffeine's a killer because you think, just a little Costa. Costa's the for me. Costa is.
Andy,
I
it's
want
the
to say it's the
only buzz
worst.
I've got left because
Ah,
I don't drink. Do you know what I mean? I don't. I'm teetotal. I've been for some years, and it's the only buzz that I have left. I'm
I
just like,
know.
I like that buzz, But
I
like
know.
today, I've had, yeah, man, I've had three or four coffees, and
Yeah.
but
I.
it's that last thing that I've given everything else up.
It's the one thing that also for me creeps back in. So
Yeah,
sometimes I just have a coffee. It'll be fine. I'll have a coffee. So we avoid sugar and carbohydrates like the
yeah.
plague, because again, what that does
Well,
certainly
it's the
does for me
same
and
for
my
me with
wife.
drinking. I can't have the first chocolate bar. And then I'm off on. If I have a dairy milk, I'm gonna keep eating them till I'm yeah. And
Well,
I
there
just
are no
keep
more
eating like
dairy
that.
milks in the
Yeah,
world. Yeah, and it is addiction. There's
yeah.
no other way
I
to
get it. I
describe
get it.
it. Yeah, but because and there are different levels of addiction. It's really, really hard. I mean, my wife is wonderful in terms of researching, what's a good plan. So we right now, and certainly for the last, I want to say 3 months or so, but we've been messing around with carnivore diets for some time. Some people like them, some people don't. I get it. Everyone's got a different way of going, but we find that when we're on a carnivore diet, so we're eating basically steak, eggs, fish, pretty much twice a day, we feel less anxious, we feel less stressed, we're losing weight. Our, our hair, and well, not that I've got a lot of hair, but uh, our skin, our nails, it's all just improving. And it's right for us. I'm not saying it's right for everybody, but it's right for us. And it's brought our minds down to this point where we haven't got just this stuff going on all the time. All the time. The voice, I don't say the voices in my head, but the voices in our heads, just the chatter. What have you got to do next? What are
Mm,
you doing tomorrow? Then what are you going to do after that? Then what's happening after that? And what about next month? Have you thought about that? Why haven't you done that? And all that kind of stuff. It just goes. without the sugar. Sugar and the caffeine and the booze are the three big ones. Sugar, caffeine, and booze. It's tough. It's tough, and it was my birthday last week, and I had a profiterole while I was out.
Yeah. I mean, I've done the sugar, right? So I tell you what happened to me. So I've always done my blood work. I've been relatively healthy, right? I
Yeah.
perhaps above and beyond most people. Anyway, I have my bloods done regularly, and the nurse who does my blood, she rings me back in February and she goes, "Chris, we've got a problem here. Your platelets are incredibly low." She says, I think we might need to get you to hospital."
Oh my
Anyway,
goodness.
thank God, right? It was the blood had coagulated, right? Okay, so it was wrong because I have a doctor friend. He says, "Chris, if your platelets are that low, your nose will be bleeding, okay, and you'd have blood coming out of every hole." And another little, I cut my finger, and I told him. He says, "Well, is it still bleeding?" It wasn't. So we knew 2 days later she come back and retest him. But I had the experience of a bad phone call, right? And that was enough for me to go, you know what? Like I would sit sort of 16 and 17 stone, but I held it well, and then I had to have that realization that going sitting at 16 or 17 stone is not acceptable anymore. Like I'm 42 years old. My old man died at 47. My cholesterol was just that little bit high because again, when I was stressed, I would have a biscuit, and when I start on the biscuits, I just can't stop.
Yeah.
And then what happened for me is because I had that fright, I thought, right, so since the February the 20th, I had a few ice creams on holiday,
Mm.
okay? And even those ice creams on holiday, I'm up in the night, pissing more times than I would normally. My sleep is disrupted. But then I went really into it. I had some mitochondrial function testing, I had mold testing, heavy metal testing, and I coupled that with all my bloods and this plan. So since that time, for me, it's fasting. So I've done a couple of 44-hour fasts. I've been fasting in the morning till around dinner time, breaking it with bone broth. And I've used ChatGPT as well with this type of stuff. So I've got the information from, she's not a nurse, she's got a PhD, this lady. And
Yeah.
I'd be putting all her information and I'd be getting all this from ChatGPT, and I built up a health optimization plan. And I cannot wait for my bloods at the end of May because I know and I feel, and again, I've told you I'm a bit fried out. In the past, when I get like this, I'd last a month and then I'm in bed because I'm bollocks, right? I have sort of been operating at this type of level for the past few months, and I'm just starting. I'm not feeling physically burnt out. It's the mental burnout, really. But like I've really tried to put that stuff in place because if I'm healthy, if I'm showing up the best version of me, like I'm in a better state to figure things out, aren't I? But I just feel like I'm getting that at that point at the moment where things are a bit overwhelming. So many plates are spinning, lots of stuff going on. But I love the
Yeah.
fact that you're interested in it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And for me, from what you're saying, it's kind of like you've made all these changes, and suddenly you're Superman, right?
Mm.
Look at how much I can do now. So you're pushing yourself to your next limit. That's what it sounds like. Not intentionally, but it's kind of like, oh, I can do a lot more. I didn't used to be able to operate like this, and look how well I'm doing. And then you kind of push yourself a little bit far. We'll do it. I do the same. And go, I feel great. I'm going to do more
Yeah,
until
yeah,
I feel really crap. And then
yeah.
collapse in a heap. It's
How
easy
old are you,
done.
Andy? If you don't mind me asking.
I don't mind you asking. I was 57 last week.
You're looking good, Nick, for 57.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Um, I mean, mate, we've just gone down the rabbit hole for half an hour, but
That's all right.
I love it when that happened. I never anticipate this conversation was going to go that way. So I want to bring it back to something perhaps a little bit more that's going to help viewers and listeners. So
Sure.
obviously, accountants, many of them focus on compliance, and yes, it's important, but them year-end accounts are about as much use as a chocolate tea cozy when it comes to making decisions on your business.
Yeah.
So you've touched on it earlier, but what drove you to sort of focus more on that advisory service? And sort of, can you sort of give me some examples of how you've gone into business in that advisory role and
Yeah.
created success?
Yeah. So there's several reasons why. One of the reasons, to be blunt about it, was I was getting a little bit fed up with the situation where a client would come to you and say, "Here's my year-end stuff." You go, "Okay, here's your accounts. You've made this much profit." I can't have made that much profit. That can't be right. I can't have a tax bill. So all that kind of stuff that would happen, and that was happening because they didn't have visibility on their numbers throughout the year. And then they weren't saying, "Well, okay, I'm making a profit. I need to put money away for tax." So there was no forward planning of cash flow in particular. I've been a massive fan of cash flow forecasting since, since as long as I can remember, really. But actually getting people engaged in that idea that, okay, well, let's forecast where you think the business is going to be in 12 months. No one wants to do it, Chris, because they don't want to have a look and find out that there are answers that they don't want to hear, right? They're afraid of what they might find. Um, so it was partly that, and also, well, no, it really is all that because it's far more rewarding for me personally to help business owners actually create the future that they want. You know, I went into business because I wanted to help people, and this is the way I want to help people. I want them to build a sustainable, profitable business that's going to support them and their family long into the future. So that's why. That's why. Um, and I've got really quite a good example of a client that we've worked with over the last. Well, they've been a client for about 3 years, and they came to us, and their books were in a complete mess. Um, the bookkeeping was being done poorly, very poorly, by a family member who didn't really have the time. So it wasn't necessarily the quality, but they didn't have the time. They didn't really have the understanding. And what we found was that um, they were coming to us saying, "Can you get the accounts done?" We were going, "Well, yeah, but there's a hell of a lot of work needs doing. So we don't know what we're going to end up with. And you've given us, a month to hit the deadline, and we can't do it." So this happened 2 or 3 years on the trot with this particular client. They promised they would upgrade their bookkeeping to make their accounting better, so that we could help them more, but they just didn't do it. And so about a year ago, I said to them, "I'm not doing this anymore. We love you. We want to help you, but we're not serving you. It's not serving anybody for us to continue in this relationship the way it is at the moment." So I said, I'm giving you loads of notice here. So we can either get really, really deep with you and partner with you to improve your financial record keeping, which will then improve your financial reporting, which will then in turn help you to work out what's going well in the business and what isn't going so well in the business so that we can make changes. And I'm not, yeah, we can do that if that's what you want. Or, and this is the big thing, this is the big shift as well, or we can shake hands and move on and bring the relationship to an end. And that's the bit. That's the when you were talking earlier about, oh, is it scary? A client that's paying you, I think they were paying us £250 a month, something like that. And to say, well, actually, I don't want that. I don't want that money. You take your money. In fact, you'd probably be able to get someone to do your year-end accounts much cheaper than we're doing it for.
Can I ask then, right? Because this is the question on everyone's lips, and I think the answer is going to really surprise people. So
Okay.
yeah, £250 a month someone might pay for the compliance. And I know this is how long's a piece of string answer, but if you're a director out there and you've got a business and you want to bring somebody in on an advisory fractional FD, CFO role, what type of investment are they going to need? Where does it start from? What's the average one? I completely get it, Andy. If it's multi millions, it's going to go up. But I know people out there are frightened to death to ask the question. They have no concept of what bringing somebody like you into the role is going to cost them.
Yeah, great question. Thanks for asking. I know that it's always going to be more than people expect. And at the same time, businesses who invest more in their finance function do better. So we have a range. So at the moment, our fully outsourced virtual finance team, or actually what we term our cash flow accelerator platinum package, is £30,000 a year plus that. And with that, we take over the whole finance package. So we do everything from the basic bookkeeping, payroll, VAT, year-end accounts, management accounts, everything. Plus, within that, we are effectively doing coaching work, business coaching. So we're identifying opportunities. It's more of that CFO kind of role, but it's more of a coaching kind of role. How can we help you improve the business? So we actually partner with them, and that's the price for that. We have a step down from that, which is half that price, which is the investment is 15,000 plus that, where we take the coaching element out of it. So sometimes it's worth having, let's get all our ducks. Let's spend some time getting all our ducks in a row before we start working on the future. But with any of the packages that we do, we also have a basic compliance package, which is like, yeah, we'll do your compliance, which again is half again. That's £7,500 a year. But with the two premium packages that we have, we always start with a cash flow accelerator VIP day, which is a day in person. Doesn't matter where they are in the country. We get together, get a nice hotel room. I don't mean that, do I? I mean a nice meeting room somewhere, nice meeting space. And we work together for the day to work on the vision for the business, the personal vision, which is absolutely the most important thing. That's where we start with a vision. Then we start to develop the strategies and the tactics to develop the vision to deliver more cash in the business within 12 months. So, yeah, I don't know if I've answered your question, Chris.
Well, no, you have. It's like, listen, if you want the basics, it's going to be about 7.5. If you want it seems like an FD role, it's going to be 15. If you want all singing, all dancing, some coaching, it's going to be 30.
Yeah, that's it.
There gets to a point if your business is of a certain size. I'm going to press you on this because no one likes answering this question.
Yeah, no, go for it.
At what size does a business need to be, either in profitability or turnover, to make that decision to bring someone in at that level? Not just a nice to have; it's a necessity. Because most people will be out there. Listen, I deal with the bad end of the market where things go wrong. They'll have an accountant. They'll probably have a bookkeeper. So, at what level of turnover or profit do you think, you know what, thinking about 30 grand as a finance function should be something that you're seriously considering?
My view is, by the time you've got to 500,000, especially if you're looking to grow from there, because you need to keep an eye on the figures, 500k upwards is where you seriously need to be having someone good on your side. I'd be considering it from probably 200 or 300k upwards, that actually I need to get serious about this now, because if I don't keep a good handle on my finances, if I don't have someone batting my, I'm going to get my things are wrong where I'm batting my corner. That's not right. Fighting my corner. Um, then I'm not going to get where I want to be. So it's that sort of 2 to 300K. Really start thinking seriously about what's going on with your finances, because that's the point where you're growing a team. Probably you're 2 or 3 team members in, and actually there's lots more to think about. You're becoming a business owner. By 500K, you need someone on board. In my view, kind of like the 500K to about 2 million is where I would sit with the people that we help. More than that, you're starting to say, get yourself an internal team, because this is a bigger role. So it's that spot really between 500 and about 2 million is where we fit with what we do.
Andy, I've loved this chat. It's gone down rabbit holes I never thought we were going to talk
Good.
about. And I've enjoyed it. I hope everyone else enjoys it. But I like to wrap up with some sort of rapid fire questions. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So, one book that's profoundly influenced your business philosophy.
The Jelly Effect
The
by
Jelly
Andy
Effect.
Bounds. Yes.
Okay. Never heard of that. So I'm going to put it on my reading list. Okay. If you could have dinner with one entrepreneur, past or present, who would it be and why?
I'm going to say Elon Musk. I just want to know what on earth is going on inside his head.
One common misconception about accountants and finance people that you want to put to bed right now.
All accountants are the same, right?
Bit like insolvency people, that mate. Yeah, I get it. We all look the same, don't we?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's that kind of like, oh, well, all accountants are the same. All the only differential is what you're charging me. It's it's bullshit, basically. Some of the stuff I see is shocking. Shocking.
Where do we find out more about Andy Muckett if people want to?
Absolutely, the best place to find out more about Andy Muckett is to search for me on LinkedIn. There is only one Andy Muckett in the world, so if you go looking for me, you'll find me for sure. And that's LinkedIn is the place where I hang out. It's where I give my nuggets of wisdom in the hope that they're going to help people make big changes in their lives. Yeah.
Andy, you've helped me today, mate. So thanks for your time. God bless you, pal. And
You're
I'm going to
welcome.
wrap this up now.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Chris. It's been great to be here.